Alright folks, today I'm going to make some vegan ribs. And here's the process. First I got to cut up 2 cups of diced mushrooms here. And do that real quick. Got my oven heating in the back. Coarsely chop these. I'm guessing this is probably going to be about 2 cups. It's all going to go inside the food processor anyways, so you have to go too crazy with it. And of course I just chop them up here. Here I got a pan heating up behind me. I do have a measuring cup here just to give me a rough idea. This is close to 2 cups. And if you got a little extra, so be it. It's hard to measure exactly when they're kind of coarse, you know, chunky and whatnot. But yeah, that's about 2 cups there. I'm just going to throw this. I got some oil heating up back here. Those got to cook down for a little bit. So here I go. I'm just letting these saute down a little bit. Fire up the heat a little bit. These gotta cook them down a little bit till they're kind of tender. May take a few minutes. Joy got me a new spatula. Better use it, right? And I can chop up. This has an awesome edge on it. So it's not quite as coarse. Thing is, these are going to go right into the food processor anyways, so it's not, you don't have to go too crazy with the chopping right yet, but just, it does help. So vegan ribs, I had a hankering for ribs. I'm going to add a little bit more olive oil. And an absolute hankering for barbecue, and I just, I don't eat meat anymore, so. A lot of this bacon meat is not so good. But I've done this recipe a few different times. A little rusty because I haven't done it in a little while, but it is absolutely spectacular. And I'll also, maybe I'll make my own barbecue sauce too. I'll make a little batch of it. The batch for the barbecue sauce that I have it's a little too big. It's a little too much, and then I'm ended up with a huge amount of barbecue sauce. So. Turn the fan on a little bit. There you go. You got to reduce these down a little bit. Let them cook down. But like I was saying about the barbecue sauce, it was a Hawaiian barbecue sauce, and maybe I'll do that recipe after this. It has quite a few different ingredients too. This recipe has an ingredient that I can't find either. And I could post. This is a recipe I think I found it online, and it's actually from a vegan site. I'll put the link in the description too, because right offhand I can't exactly remember. But yeah, I'll put that in the description. I'll put the recipe in the link will have the recipe there. So I'm just going to go through. It is quite a detailed recipe. There's a lot of components. I had to put the cat away real quick, that's why I took off. But there's a lot of components. There's a lot of different ingredients, and a lot of different things you have to do. Like you got to cook down these mushrooms a little bit, and we'll go through it step by step. And I had to go back and look at the recipe to refresh my memory. Preheat the oven to 375. And you're going to need a 9x9 pan. It calls for peanut butter, but I do not have peanut butter, so I'm going to supplement peanut butter with, I did find some tahini. I thought I had everything, but I was cleaning out the fridge, and I think most of the peanut butter I had was old, so I threw it out. See how quickly these cook down? It looked like a lot, but now look how much it just cooked down to almost nothing. Not almost nothing, but a lot less. So that's why I said like 2 cups. Don't be afraid to put a little extra in here anyways. I use a 9x9 glass pan, which I should probably get out when these are cooking. And yeah, while these are cooking, I could probably now also just switch up here, and I'll do my dry ingredients. Alright, now I'm going to start with my dry ingredients. The main component of the dry ingredients is this wheat gluten flour, this Vital Wheat gluten flour. I use Bob's Red Mill here, probably familiar with it. Need 2 cups of this. Cup. I want to get the wheat gluten measurement pretty close. Okay. Now I need, let me stir these up here a little bit. I still got my mushrooms cooking down here. Turn that down a little. Let's see, 2 teaspoons garlic powder. And I'm all out of garlic powder, so I'm going to use garlic. I do have garlic salt, so that'll work. I'll just have to cut back on my salt a little bit. So 2 teaspoons garlic powder. So here we go, 2 teaspoons. You want to mix all your dry components up together. 2 teaspoons there. Now I need a teaspoon, I think, of, yes, 1 teaspoon onion powder. There we go. And 2 teaspoons paprika powder. And I'm running low on paprika, so hopefully I can get 2 teaspoons out of this. We'll see. There's 1. Oop, that's probably about 2. And then I need smoked paprika, 1 teaspoon smoked paprika. Now, one thing I don't have is ground annatto, and I cannot find that anywhere. And I've looked, I can't find it. So, and our last ingredient, as far as the dry goods go, is a little sea salt. And I'm just going to grind this in here. We already got quite a bit of salt in there, but I like having a little extra salt in there, right? Now we got to whisk this up. Let's see if I can find my whisk. Where are you, whisk? Do I not have my whisk here? Oh, whisk, where'd you go? Oh, it would have been a good idea if I had all this stuff handy, right? Stir my mushrooms quick. Where'd my whisk go? Oh well, I'll have to use something else, I guess. It's really strange. Maybe it fell behind something. Alright, well I guess we don't have a whisk, so maybe I'll just use a spoon. Gotta improvise. No whisk. Oh well. I'll just give it a good stir. I think I smell those mushrooms. They're about done. I got a kitty cat helper over here. Okay. Ground sea salt. Just make sure I got everything there. Yep, looks good. Looks good. Yes, yes. Alright. Next steps. Now I'm going to add all the wet ingredients into the food processor. And I'll just give you a quick look at the mushrooms. See how they're nice and browned. Sauteed nicely. Okay. Now that's going to go into the food processor in a minute. Alright, so now I'm going to add all the wet ingredients into the food processor here. Okay. So let's start with, let's see, some broth, I guess we'll start with. It calls for mushroom broth, but we already have all that mushroom flavor in there, so I'm going to use a little bit of this garden vegetable broth here. That'll focus in collagen. Okay, 1 cup of this. One-quarter cup shoyu. I'm going to use this Bragg's liquid aminos. Looks like I just barely have enough. Here we go. Awesome. And I need one-half cup dark beer, and for that specially picked up this, you can see that there, it's not focusing very well, this Trogs right here, Grand Cacao. you don't know about Trogs, you should look it up. This is a very good dark beer. And then I'll have a little bit for myself too afterwards. So a half cup of this dark beer, which I have not been able to do recently because I haven't had it, so I've been adding more broth, but this time we're going to go with the beer. Gives it extra good flavors. These are all awesome flavors here. Half cup of the beer. There we go. And that's some real rich stuff. Take a swig of that. If you could smell, if we had smell-o-vision right now. Oh boy, really good. And if you're a Guinness fan, let me tell you, this is way better than Guinness. Oh yeah. Okay. Let's see. 1 tablespoon Worcestershire sauce. Calls for vegan Worcestershire. I don't know the difference. I'm going to use Lee & Perrins Worcestershire sauce. I'll call for 1 tablespoon of this. Okay. Where are we now? 1 teaspoon liquid smoke. So I'm using this liquid smoke right here. Hickory original recipe. Okay, you can probably get something that you like. Maybe something a little different. So 1 teaspoon of the liquid smoke. We already got the smoked paprika in the dry. But 1 teaspoon of that. And now I need some tomato paste. Now I'm using Hunt's tomato paste. It's non-GMO there. One tablespoon of this. There we go. I gave it a healthy tablespoon. Oh, there's a little piece of paper on there. I don't want that. Do not want the paper. So I gave it an extra healthy little dose there. And now 2 tablespoons peanut butter, but in this case I'm going to use tahini here, ground sesame seeds, and yeah, I've been stirring it up. This stuff is extra good, so give it a little extra thickness and some flavors too. I want to make a huge mess with this. I already had this on the spoon, but we'll call that a tablespoon. Even though it was on a teaspoon, but let me get an actual tablespoon here. I'm trying to get some of the thicker stuff at the bottom here. There we go. And you know, don't be too crazy. It doesn't have to be super exact. I mean, you know, most recipes, it's like cookies. If you don't have the recipe exactly exact, you're going to have some weird results. But this, you have a little room to play with. So if you like certain flavors better than others, maybe add a little something special for yourself. Okay, let's see, make sure we got everything. Peanut butter, tomato sauce, Worcestershire, shoyu, dark beer, broth. Okay, and that's about it. Now we add those lovely mushrooms to the equation here. sauteed in olive oil. Don't want to waste any bit of that. And now you're just supposed to grind that up till it's smooth, they say. So here we go. Yeah, I should pulse. It's like I'm getting some leakage. I'd say that's pretty good. Now we're just going to add that all right into here, into our dry ingredients. Try not to make a mess. It did look like it's not too bad. Just like that. I'll try to get as much as I can out of here, all of this extra little stuff. Yeah, it's just almost too much for my little food processor. Now all we gotta do is mix this up, and I'll zoom in here a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. Just mix this up now, that's it. And the final stretch. Oops, sugar. Come on. Come on, Kooter. Keep her in the bowl. Now you see it's starting to form like a dough. Just keep mixing, And then this is where you're gonna start having to use your hands here. This is the trick here, is the kneading part. Now you really want to make sure you get a good knead on this. Yeah, you want to make sure this wheat gluten starts to actually congeal up, kind of. See how it's starting to congeal? There. One of these days I'll make a pizza dough video. See how it's congealing up now though? I may need a little bit more wheat gluten. I'm thinking I might have not put quite enough. Just a little bit more maybe. There we go, that's more like it. That smells awesome. There, see how it's starting to form a dough now, kinda? Make sure you get this good and mixed up here. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. See how it's kind of has a little comeback to it, like it's Definitely forming a ball now. Alright, that's pretty much it with that. Now what we're going to do is put a little oil in this pan. Fill this up nice. Oil the sides. Just like so. And then you just take this right out of here and put it in here. Just like that. And then just spread it out. Spread it out to all the corners, if you can see that. Nice and even. You want nice even ribs. Right? Vegan ribs. There we go. I feel it firming up now. Alright. There you go. Basically about it. Yeah, take a little extra time. Make sure it's pretty good and even. All the way around. And then our next step, all we have to do is throw it in the oven. So here we go. I'm just going to throw it right in the oven here. Oops. Put it right there in the center rack. I'm going to set it for the time here. 30 minutes at 375. And there we go. Now all we have to do is wait. Finish the rest of this beer off. See you in 30 minutes. While that those vegan ribs are cooking up, I'm going to make a Hawaiian BBQ sauce, but I'm going to make half a batch because the whole batch is quite a bit. So I want half a cup of onions, or a whole cup of onions. 1 cup minced onions, so I'm going to do a half a cup. That's probably about good enough. I'm kind of low on ketchup. Add that to my pan. Olive oil in there. And 1 clove. It says 2 cloves, but I'm going to use 1 clove because we're doing a half a batch. Now you just gotta saute those onions for a little bit. Get you back in 5 minutes when they're going, getting browned up. Alright, as you can see, I got those onions sauteing nicely. I'm gonna add some of ingredients, I guess first I will start with, it calls for spiced rum, but I don't have any spiced rum, so I'm going to have to improvise with a half cup of, I'm going to use, close for a half cup, but we're doing half recipe, so a quarter cup of, I'm going to use some of this vegetable broth, the rest of this vegetable broth. There we go. This calls for 2 cups of ketchup. I'm going to use 1 cup because we're doing half recipe. Which might be this whole thing of ketchup. Pretty close. Stir that up a little bit. Now 1/8 of a cup of brown sugar. I'm just going to eyeball that. There we go. So, tablespoon. Tablespoon and a half of hoisin sauce. So here's the hoisin sauce I'm using. Very aromatic sauce. Tablespoon and a half. Very good. If you ever had Korean barbecue, I think that's definitely one of the ingredients in there. 2 tablespoons tomato paste. Use some little extra on that. Could have been 1 tablespoon, but I put 2. And 1/8 of a cup of molasses. And I'm just going to eyeball that. There we go. 2 tablespoons of vinegar. There we go. This is a tablespoon for the full cayenne pepper, but we're going to use a half. Probably go a little light on the cayenne. So we'll use a teaspoon here. There. And a full tablespoon of chili powder. So use a teaspoon here. And then I'm missing an ingredient, which is ginger, and I don't think I have any ginger powder or anything. So we're just going to have to do without that. Some tomato paste, vinegar. that's it. Stir it up. Let it cook down for a little bit. If you want to add a little pineapple in there, it might even be good. Or I could put a little squeeze of orange in there, maybe even, might be nice. It had a nice red color. I was tempted to put a little black pepper in there too. But let me give this a taste after I get it stirred up. You want to let this cook down, I don't know, about, turn up the heat a little bit, maybe 20 minutes or so. Look at that beautiful color. And I did put an extra clove of garlic. That's pretty good. Not too hot. It's got a little sweet. And to tell you the truth, I think I am going to put a little black pepper in there. Called for spiced rum, but I do not have any spiced rum. I'm not a big rum drinker, so I don't have any rum on hand. Pretty good though. I'll be pretty slamming on those ribs. I'm just going to let that cook down and check back in 20 minutes. These ribs are about done. That's good. I just want to add that while you're cooking the barbecue sauce down, make sure to give it a stir. Don't have the heat too high. Got another 8 minutes or so to go on this. As you can see, the barbecue sauce is getting quite a bit darker. I have to admit, the flavor, cooking it down, still have about another 5 minutes to go, has increased. The heat's increased a little bit too. Very delicious. Too bad I didn't have the ginger to put in there. That would have been nice, but oh well. Alright, these ribs just beeped. See how they look. Oh yeah. Looking pretty good. There you go. There's the ribs. I'm just going to let them cool for a little while, maybe half hour or so. I'll pop them out of the pan. I'll cut that in half. Then you cut them at like a 45-degree angle to leave like little marks on the top. We'll go through all that in a little bit. You can see the barbecue sauce is starting to boil. We're going to give that another 10-15 minutes. See you then. So the barbecue sauce is done. I'm just going to pour it in this jar here. You can use a little piece of tape, write the date on it, so you know exactly when you made it. You know it's still pretty fresh. All this little bit at the bottom off. There we go, homemade barbecue sauce. Pretty good. Actually really good. It's the right amount of heat and sweet. I'm sure that ginger would have gave it a little extra tang there, but vinegar did it justice. I'll let that cool off for a little bit before I cap it. Alright, next up I'm gonna take out the barbecue ribs here. Voila, just that easy. It's still a little hot. That's okay. It's a very nice texture, as you can see. It's firm. It's like a rib would be. It has some punch back. I just cut this right in half like this. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to score it with a serrated knife at a 45-degree angle. Not too deep, but just a little bit. About ½ inch all the way across here. Just like that. Not too deep. Just enough to say you scored it. Cats are playing like crazy. Just like that, and we'll do the other side. And I just put this on a baking sheet. Not too deep, just nice and light. Go too deep into it. It's like 1/8 of an inch, if that at all. There you go. And what I generally do is I'll take this and I will wrap it in aluminum foil. Usually it's like 2 servings almost. I mean, it might even be like, you know, one of these is like 2 servings for one person, but that's probably as, you know, you cut these. Generally, the recipe says 1 inch, but I cut them about ½ an inch. So, and then you cook 5 minutes on each side, but then I just wrap this up like that. There you go. Boom. Boom. Just like that. And there you have it. I'm going to let those cool a little bit more. Just like that. You can see, sorry I was out of frame. Just wrap it up. you go. And then next step will be cooking it. Here's the barbecue sauce. Still cooling, but there you go. So for one person, this is probably about 4 servings. For 2 people, yeah, one person be 4 servings, 2 people will be 2 servings. 2 people, 1 thing. So about you can make almost a dozen ribs out of one of these things, little like baby back ribs. But once this cools off, I'll show you how to cook this. I may have to do that in another video. Until then, oh yeah, now you're talking.